Hello, this is Mr. K's and this is 32.2a. 32.2a. We saw a little bit about World War II in the European theater. Now we're going to look at the Japanese in the Pacific theater of operation. Japanese expansion began in 1931, grabbing Manchuria, Manchuria. If you remember, Manchuria was the northern part of China that had a lot of iron ore. Then northern China. There's a desire for Southeast Asia land and resources. Desire for Southeast Asia lands for resources like rubber, tin, and oil. Japanese name, Isoroku Hamamoto. He's a Japanese admiral. And he planned the attack on the U.S. naval fleet in Hawaii. He planned an attack on the U.S. naval fleet in Hawaii. Now, at this time, the United States was not in the war, but Japan figured they were going to side with the Allies, so why not knock them out? So, Pearl Harbor was the target in 1941. Japan sinks 19 U.S. ships, 2,300 deaths, and 1,100 wounded. The U.S. declares war on Japan and its allies, which would include Italy, fascist Italy, and Nazi Germany. So the U.S. declares war on Japan and its allies. As Japan begins to expand in the Pacific now, Philippines, Hong Kong, Singapore, and the Dutch East Indies and Burma fall. We'll say it again. Philippines, Hong Kong, Singapore, the Dutch East Indies, which is Indonesia, and Burma fall. They're all in Japanese hands. An infamous event is the Bataan Death March. Bataan was a place in the Philippine Islands. Bataan Death March. It's a 50-mile forced POW march by the Japanese. 50-mile forced POW march by the Japanese. What's a POW? It's a prisoner of war. U.S., British, and Australian prisoners were forced marched in the hot sun by the Japanese. No food, no water, and if you fainted and you dropped, you got shot. It was an abuse of prisoners for sure. In 1942, Colonel Jimmy Doolittle led a B-25 bombing raid over Tokyo. In 1942, Colonel Doolittle led a B-25 bombing raid over Tokyo. They took off from aircraft carriers. They flew to Tokyo, dropped their bombs. Now they don't have any gasoline to get back home. So what they did is they flew on to China, ditched their planes in China, and guerrilla fighters helped to recover them so they didn't fall into Japanese hands. That was a daring raid over Tokyo. And this was a psych job. I call it a psych job, that Japan was vulnerable to attack. Psych job that Japan now was vulnerable to attack. It raises the morale of the Allies. Raises the morale. M-O-R-A-L-E. Hooray! We can do something. It raises the morale of the Allies, and it shakes Japanese confidence. It raises the morale of the Allies, this attack, and it shakes Japanese confidence. The United States now is starting to fight back. Instead of being on the defensive, they're starting some offensive maneuvers against the Japanese in the Pacific. As we continue in the next part, we're going to see how the United States is going to get closer to the Japanese home islands. This is Mr. K's with 32.2a. I'm out.